you just learned so many valuable lessons over those years, which kind of, I'm curious to know, like, where do you think most business owners in our industry specifically uh, fall? Like, where would be their weaknesses, or where do you see other business owners and you go, I think that's what you're doing wrong? For me, it was putting too much trust into the wrong people, and that's my fault, not theirs. That's mine.
I would say two primary things. First one would be people. I fought it and fought it to get people for cheap. And finally, I just gave up and said, I'm going to have to spend more money, right? If you want good people and you want to win. And we recently implemented traction in our business, and we went through and evaluated every team member to the greatest to the worst. It's a hard conversation. And then you take your greatest and you say, okay, well, what's the attributes of the greatest from the office to the field, all the foremans, everybody? And you take those, say 5, and you say, okay, well, what's their attributes? Because if you could multiply those 5, you could take on anything in this world. And it really comes down to a whole list. But when we looked at every person, their number one attribute of why they're so great is they never make excuses. So then that become a core value and a filter for how we hire people. And if we hire people and you're in an interview and you start making excuses about what happened at the last place, 9 times out of 10, we ain't messing with you. Because you're going to come here and make excuses, right? We don't want excuses. So it doesn't matter if we fail. It doesn't matter if the GC sucks, because most of them do nowadays. And you use that as an excuse. Like, it's just an excuse. It doesn't matter. We're in a contract and we got to continue to push through, right? The other thing I would say is I went back after I got going, I was trying to bid jobs and I didn't know how to estimate. So my first job, I took a set of drawings and I gridded the drawing out and I did cuts and fills in each quadrant and then averaged that. It took me like 6-8 hours. I was like, screw this. So I called Insight and bought Insight and started in takeoffs. That was right after they come off of the, can't remember what those things are called, where you lay them out and draw on the drawings. It was all through PDF. So started doing my takeoffs there. And I'm like, okay, well, now I have my takeoffs done. I know my quantities. I know everything for my bid, but I don't know the numbers on my business. I don't know what it cost. So I started digging into that and I bought my first estimating software probably 2-3 years after that. I had to space it out because I didn't have money. I mean, when I bought my first takeoff software, I think Insight was $7,000 then. Yeah. And then now to go to heavy bid, like, Lord, and we run ag tech and it's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's triple
those.
that. So
Yeah.
anyways, and then I went in and started working through estimating and build my numbers. Well, I didn't know the numbers on my equipment cost. So I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Hourly rates that we used won't work. We're never going to get a job. So then I was coming in high on everything. I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out my cost. So I get rid of QuickBooks, switch to a construction accounting software and start building out my equipment cost. And every piece of equipment is built out. Every mechanic labor hour, every part goes to that piece of equipment. And then we can go back in and take our hours and we can divide by our service labor time, our parts cost, everything to get a real number. And then also that helps me drive the decision of when do I need to replace this equipment.
What's that software?
Foundations. They have equipment. They have an equipment module. So everything goes to every piece of equipment. So I know the costs all the time. So then every year we turn around and we take those numbers and we say, what are equipment costs? So if you're a contractor in the last 3 years, you didn't change your numbers and your estimating program with the new cost today, you're probably losing a lot of money
Or not around.
Right? So we have a very extensive spreadsheet and it's grown over the years. It started with equipment cost, salvage cost, interest, all of your cost. How many hours do I estimate per year that I'm going to use it? Here's my hourly cost, plug my fuel, plug my labor, and let's go.